that wasn't really working. So anyway, it is now 7:05, and I'll call the meeting of the Emergency Services Commission for March 10th, 2021 to order. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll?
Going off of the member list that I have Mr. Fred Carmen.
Here.
Mr. Patrick Davis.
Present.
Mr. Wayne Zwansik.
Present.
Mr. Roy Gilmore.
Present.
Mr. George Mike Kirk. And that's all I have.
Okay.
Am I missing someone?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, this is the first meeting we've had in quite some time, actually since probably about a year that COVID has attacked us. So a couple things I'd like to start with before we move into our staff reports. The first one is I'd like to, first of all, say goodbye. You might notice that we have new members here. So I'd like to say goodbye to Mike Blything, who was a longtime member of the commission. Mike retired from, for the second time, he retired from Holy Cross Hospital and relocated down to the Carolinas and is enjoying his retirement. So I'd like to thank him for his service. And I'd also like to thank Mr. Calvin Parks, who is no longer part of the commission. And I'd like to thank him for his long service and wish him the very best. And most importantly, I think, we have a member that did not leave because he wanted to leave. Former mayor and longtime member of the Emergency Services Commission, Joe Robison. Joe sadly has passed away since our last meeting. The one thing that I always loved about Joe when I was a police officer was you could ask him anything about Laurel history, and he would he knew everything. And he would tell you a story about it, and he would tell you 3 people that you could confirm it with. And even if it wasn't directly about the city of Laurel history, if he knew you were interested in something, for me, I'm a very avid NASCAR fan, and he said, sort of, by the way, do you know that Laurel is the reason that NASCAR started? And I had never heard that before. And he went on to tell me that there was a wooden racetrack that sits where Patuxent Greens sits now, and that the train used to stop on race days, and people would walk from the railroad tracks across an open field, which is now obviously developed. And they would walk across to the track. And on one particular race day, the winner was a gentleman named Bill France, and the promoter of that race failed to pay him for his winnings and said, nice race, but you're not getting your money. And Bill France left very upset and went down and said, I'm not going to have anybody else cheat me out of money. And he went down to Daytona, Florida, and they began racing on the beach. And then he built a large racetrack in Daytona Speedway, and the rest is history. NASCAR became. So I don't know if we're the exact reason NASCAR started, but according to Joe Robison, and I always trusted everything Joe said, we were a big part of it. So I'd like to have a brief moment of silence for past mayor and past member of our committee, Joe Robinson. Okay, so with the goodbyes, we're very fortunate to have 3 new members. Before that, we have a returning member, Vice Chairman Patrick Davis. I'd like to welcome him back. Been a very long time. Our new members are Mr. Wayne Dwanchik, past Chief of Police Roy Gilmore, and Mike Kirk. So I'd like to, Wayne, if you want to take a minute or so and give a little bit of your background, the floor is yours.
Well, professionally, I was a military historian, and I worked for the Pentagon for 35 years. But I've been involved in the emergency services, in a sense, in Laurel for a good while as a volunteer, a member of the Community Emergency Response Team, and also a member of the Volunteer Police Auxiliary. And so, you know, I was excited at the opportunity to be able to be of some use to the city as a member of this commission.
All right. Well, it is definitely our pleasure to have you as part of this team, and I thank you for your volunteer service to the city of Laurel. Chief Roy Gilmore. Roy,
Oh,
floor
thank
is
you.
yours.
Thank you. Well, I spent a couple of years in the military, Southeast Asia. Once I got out of the military, I joined the police department in DeLand, Florida. Was there a couple of years while going to school. And then I came to Maryland as a member of the Prince George's County Police from 1970 to 1994, retiring as a police major. So I was appointed as Chief of Police in Laurel Police Department in 1994, where I served as Chief of Police until 2002. I then took a job with the University of Maryland and modeled the Police Corps program, Maryland Police Corps program for college graduates. And I headed that program up for almost 2 years until federal funding came, or ran out, I should say. And then I took a position at Holy Cross Hospital as a security director responsible for security, safety, and emergency management. And in the 12, 13 years I spent there, we managed to break it down into 3 different departments to include a separate emergency management department, a safety officer, and a security department, which Fred now heads up. And I just feel that now's the opportunity. I'm fully retired to start giving back in any way I can, especially to the city of Laurel. So I'm very pleased, and I hope I bring a lot to the table for the Emergency Management Commission. Thank you, Fred.
I appreciate it. And Commissioner Patrick Davis, it's been a while. We'll go through here momentarily and open the floor, but is there anything you would like to add at this time?
Well, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much with your efforts, as well as Ms. Cromwell, in terms of getting us back in terms of getting our commission up and running. It's been certainly a while. First and foremost, Roy, Wayne, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys getting it. Both of you, the commission look forward to working with you guys as we continue to move forward to do the best for the city of Laurel. And just look forward to the challenges and
Patrick, I'm gonna stop you real quick. Your audio is coming in and out, so we're getting about every third word. I'm just glad to know I'm not the only one having audio problems.
I share your opinion. I'll tell you what, just Mr. Chairman, go ahead and proceed, and I'll actually just reach out separately.
Okay.
Go ahead and proceed.
All right. Very good. And before we move on, we'd like to welcome Anna Navarro to our group. I think you'll you'll find us to be hopefully a pretty low maintenance operation here. And I'd like to welcome Christine Cornwell, Emergency Manager. As we all know, Steve Allen used to hold this position, and since our last meeting, Chrissy has become the Emergency Manager. So, Chrissy, I'd like to welcome you on behalf of the Emergency Services Commission and ask you if you'd like to say a few words.
Yes, thank you. I'm happy to be here in the city of Laurel and part of this commission. I do have over 15 years experience in emergency management with another 2 local jurisdictions and then also with the state. So I am happy to see how we do things here with this commission. It's the first time I'll be involved with something like this. So thanks, and look forward to see how we do here.
All right, well, pretty much this being our first Zoom meeting, I can assure you we generally run much smoother, and we'll all figure this out. You figure that we've all been doing Zoom and WebEx and things like that for a year. We'd have it figured out by now, but clearly I do not. So we will go on to our staff reports, and I'd like to start with the emergency management report.
Thank you. As you said, I'm the new emergency manager, and Steve has moved on to another position within the city. But a couple other things that's been happening in the office is obviously COVID. Through Prince George's County, the city was awarded $1.57 million to support COVID efforts, and that supported food distribution, business assistance, and personal protection equipment. These funds have been exhausted, but we do continue to manage and monitor COVID activities and continue to coordinate with the county with the vaccine and different things that are going on. The other big project that is coming out of the Office of Emergency Manager is it was put on hold due to COVID, but the community rating system. So that's something that I'm working towards to improve our floodplain management activities. And we'll be able to, once we're fully done with that in June, be able to provide residents with a discount on flooding insurance. So once we go through that evaluation in June, I'm told it would probably take almost another year till it completely goes into effect, so we would see all those benefits. But it is an opportunity for us to really bring our community together and see how we can work together on floodplain management issues. That's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Office of the Fire Marshal. Okay. Laurel Police Department. All right, Department of Public Works. This will actually be a much quicker meeting than we've ever had. Department of Information Technology.
Well, I'm here tonight, so I will. Good evening, folks, and welcome to the new members. I've crossed paths with all of you in the many years I've been in Laurel, so welcome. IT's been really, technology has been very busy during COVID times. We've got a lot of CARES money. We did a lot of things technology-wise, managing our remote workers. Related to the Emergency Services Commission directly and emergency operations, command unit took a power surge probably in the fall, and it ate up a bunch of equipment in there. So we could not ship it out to our vendor because they were overwhelmed with CARES work. So we ended up doing it ourselves. It took a while, but we ended up placing the feed line, both UPSs in the box. At the same time, we upgraded the servers, and we also upgraded a communications package in there. We have both cellular communications and a satellite. So we are upgraded the cellular to 5G. So we are on FirstNet, which is also what a lot of emergency services are moving to for cellular connections and their mobile data terminals and on their laptops for emergency services. FirstNet is been sponsored by the federal government. It's AT&T. And supposedly, when something bad happens, as we know, the cell phones immediately stop working. If you are on a FirstNet phone system on the full, in this, we are at the city, we're on the police version, then you should stay connected, and you're going to have be able to maintain that connection the way the system operates. So we've had it out, the command unit out on the 5G, and we're getting really good numbers as far as bandwidth to run our computers and the system. And the county CAD system needs a bunch of bandwidth, so that's worked pretty well. We're hoping that when we do the 4th of July in Main Street, which is most likely not going to happen this year, that we can stay on 5G and not have to go to the satellite, because we don't get a lot of bandwidth on the satellite. So that's the command unit. I'm going to talk about 5G for a second. So 5G, FirstNet is the program where you get the preemption for emergency services. But 5G is the technology where we're getting a lot faster speeds on cellular connections. And we signed a franchise with AT&T beginning of the spring last year, about when COVID hit, to put 5G in the city. We actually have a 5G cell, a small cell up. They're called small cells. It's on 8th Street by the apartments. It's our first one. We're pending 2 more applications now, and we probably have 6 or 7 coming in after that. So what that's going to mean is we're going to see a lot greater cellular broadband connections within the city, which also serves emergency services, but also for our citizens. So that's small cell. It's where the future is of staying connected in this country. It won't be long, a couple of years, that we'll be disconnecting the wires to our houses, and a lot of it will be over wireless. PD is not here tonight, so let me talk about a few things at PD that's happened. We've upgraded our live scanners, which is our fingerprint machines. Those have both been upgraded to the latest models. We've also, the last 6 of the vehicles that we have purchased, the Explorers, they have new cameras in them. We had the Panasonic system in an Arbitrator. We have now transitioned to the Axon camera system with a cradle point modem in there, which the modem puts us on 5G. So last 6 Explorers are on 5G. And we can have a lot better bandwidth as far as uploading video. That video now is also going to the cloud. We're not storing it in-house like we used to. It goes into the police department on one of our servers, then goes up to the cloud where it's kept. The intent is now to transition the rest of patrol vehicles to the Axon camera system, which, by the way, is also the same manufacturer that our body cameras. That's also Axon, and our tasers. So all those systems connect. In fact, the body cameras will connect to the patrol vehicle cameras as officers arrive on a traffic stop. Let's say it's very cool. You can actually see they can actually put 3 body-worn cameras and 2 vehicles together, and you can get a 360 view of what's going on. So LPD is really thrilled with that system. So in the spring, I believe we have committed to purchasing 13 more Explorers, and those vehicles will go out and they'll come back with the Axon camera system also. I think that's about it. I mean, we also always have a lot of stuff going on. We have a lot of cyber stuff going on, which I won't really get into, but we are getting hammered. We're having to deal with a lot of the cybersecurity stuff that's going on. But we're staying ahead of it so far. And that's all technology we have tonight, unless you got any questions.
I appreciate it, Kevin. I will open the floor up to start with Vice Chair Davis.
Yeah, no, thank you, Kevin, for that update. Just piggybacking on the cameras related. Just wanted to pretty much chime back to Main Street. Just I think several years ago, a couple of discussions I've had in terms of having cameras pretty much just populated throughout that Main Street perimeter. Is that something that was actually considered? Is that in the works in terms of probably having cameras to just kind of keep an eye on the Main Street overall? What's your thoughts on that?
It is in the works. One thing I didn't talk about that I can mention is that we have spent the last 2 or 3 years putting fiber in the ground throughout the city. We're almost done. I call it our campus, but most of our buildings now are connected by fiber, or will be shortly, in all the buildings. So basically, we have run down Van Dusen Road to the corner of the firehouse. We've gone down Cherry Lane. We have gone down from the Armory down Montgomery to Public Works. We've gone down 5th Street from Armory to the police station. And we're dropping some big fiber in for future use. On Cherry Lane and Van Dusen, we're about to connect our traffic signals. So we're going to have those cameras available to be viewed at Public Works and the police station. And then we're picking up cameras in the dog park there. About 6 months ago, we ran fiber down 6th Street. If you look at 6th Street at the corner of Main and 6th right now, there's another box there sitting there. So we've dropped a big count fiber there. We have a switch in there, and that is the connection we'll use to get both Wi-Fi and cameras back to our network. So I'm hopeful that in the next 3 months that we will start to put up 1 or 2 cameras on the poles on Main Street as a test. We'll also put up Wi-Fi, and then we'll go from there. But we do intend at some point to run fiber through the conduit, the length of Main Street, and pick up stuff.
Awesome. Sounds good. Second question, yet a 2-part question. In terms of the small cell, I don't know whether or not this is confidential information, so to speak. In terms of the vendor, is that Crown Castle that we're working with in terms of the small cell technology?
No, we're actually with AT&T.
Okay.
So the vendors in Maryland right now are Verizon, AT&T, Crown Castle,
Okay.
and Mobile IT was here, but I believe they left. We did have an initial conversation with Crown Castle, but they left the negotiation and didn't stay. But so we're connected with AT&T now,
Okay.
but at some point I do expect the rest of them to get in here and get on board.
Okay. All right. So in terms of the small cell technology, just kind of go a broader scope here, are we going to eventually put those in a park as well, or you think that's pretty much an overkill because we already have accessibility to camera, Wi-Fi access as well as internet access? Or
So as part of the process, we created a design guide because we have concerns about putting some of these small cells in our historic district and other places in residential areas. So the design guide says that we are open to putting small cells in our parks,
okay.
Especially on the fringes of the parks. So let's say, our park on Montrose, backs up to 198 in the back there, that we'd be open to putting a small cell there. And we're also in negotiation with AT&T now to put small cells on streetlights, city streetlights. Since we own those, that would be a separate agreement. It's almost like a rental agreement. They'll pay us to put it on a streetlight. The agreement right now, the franchise, is essentially to go on power poles, a Verizon pole or a BG&E pole at the top. And that's what is at 8th Street. It's on the top of a telephone pole.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your feedback.
All right. Mr. Commissioner Dwanchik.
Yeah, Kevin, you mentioned that they had replaced the fingerprint scanners. Have they started up the non-criminal fingerprinting again at the department, or is that still closed down because of COVID?
I want to say it has started up, but I'm not sure. I know there was discussions about it. Chrissy, I don't know if you know if it started up.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, it has not. Yeah, it has not. But I know they want to get it going. Obviously, it's revenue. Yeah, it has not started up yet.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right. Commissioner Gilmore.
Well, again, thank you for inviting me to be part of the commission. I'm really looking forward to working with everyone. Kevin, I really appreciated your report. It appears that the city is really state of the art, and just about all the areas that you discussed, and where we're not state of the art, we're certainly moving in that direction. On the fingerprint scanner, is that networked, or is it connected with APHIS or RAFIS, which is the federal and state system?
Yeah, so the fingerprint scanner, we have a connection to the Department of Public Safety. So that we have a firewall in the police department. So those fingerprints are sent out that firewall to the Department of Public Safety. And then at that point, it gets distributed depending on what they're requesting. It'll go to the FBI or wherever it's going. And then within a couple hours, the way it works is we'll get, the dispatchers typically get an email back with whether it's a hit or not.
Definitely state of the art. I was glad to hear that. I remember the old system where we used to, really old system, I'll date myself, where we had to manually submit the 10-finger cards. So that's come a long ways. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. All right. Department of Parks and Recreation. Okay. Laurel Fire Department.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Good to be back in meetings a little bit, I guess, even if they are on Zoom. For those who don't know me, I'm Jim Codespote. I'm the chief of the Laurel Fire Department, Company 10. This is my second term as chief here at Company 10, and starting on my 34th year here at the fire department in Laurel. As you could probably imagine, COVID has become a real challenge for us. It's been that challenge for over a year. And we were lucky to have a lot of members be able to come, because as it would have it, when everything shut down first last year with COVID, people couldn't go anywhere, but we still needed volunteers. So we were kind of the escape for the members, right, to come up, to get out of their houses to do something. And so we actually were able to staff the station very well, and we continue to do that. But some of the challenges we had was all the PPE, in all the new general orders that we have to abide by when we run ambulance calls and things for our own safety. But throughout the entire year, we've been very lucky as far as very low COVID rate in the station. So our PPE is working for us, and members are being safe. The city of Laurel, I want to thank you very much for all the help and assistance you've given us throughout COVID. We've got the scanners, temperature scanners that you got for us, along with hand sanitizer machines throughout the station. And the city has really been, as they always are, a partner to us in our operations. Some of the things that are going on around the station, that since we last spoke, we've gotten engine 104 back. It was a rehabbed engine, and so it's all like a brand new engine that's back in the station. We're working on speccing out a new ambulance to replace our older ambulance. We keep 2 ambulances here at the station that the department owns, and we rotate through, but they get a ton of wear and tear, as you could probably imagine, so that's why we're in the market for a new ambulance. And so, the volunteers were pretty strong up here still, and, it takes everybody's help. So if anybody's interested, and once COVID is over, because right now the public can't come in, but if you're interested in volunteering, definitely reach out to us, www.laurelvfd.org. You can go to our website, and if you're interested in becoming a member, you can sign up there. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, Chief. First of all, it's good to see you again. It's been a long time. I will I will start the conversation just by telling you that, during 2020, we all had a lot of life changes, and from a personal standpoint, January of 2020, my brother-in-law, who lives up off Sandy Spring Road, had to use your services. Your team, as always, was amazing. He, as it turns out, he was probably one of the first COVID-related deaths that I knew of, because in January of 2020, we weren't really talking about COVID. It was only about 3 or 4 weeks later that we started talking about it. But in hindsight, that was what claimed him. But your team was amazing, and I appreciate that. And then in November of 2020, my mother-in-law lived in the same place up off of Sandy Spring Road. We had to call you all, and she had finally succumbed to a very long illness, but went into cardiac arrest. We called 911, and your team showed up, and quite frankly, they were amazing. We knew what was coming. We knew what the ultimate outcome was going to be. We told the people on the ambulance we knew, yet they still treated us with such compassion, and they did everything they could, even though we knew what the outcome was going to be. And on behalf of my family, my wife, it was her mom, we cannot thank you and your staff enough. They were just amazing. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. We appreciate that, and I'll pass that along.
And so Vice Chair Davis.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief Codespo, thank you for that update. I'll remind you, I'm still a committed volunteer of the City of Laurel Volunteer Fire Department. Let's have a discussion. Let's have a sit down. Let's have a discussion. Moving along separately, for question for Ms. Cromwell and probably Vice Chair, you can probably chime in on this. I recall about a year ago, we used to have a grant that we received from the City of Laurel that will actually aid, organizations like LVFD, the Rescue Squad, LPD, etc. But then it disappeared. Just thinking about current times right now in terms of what the various departments are faced with, and granted we have the CARES Act, etc. I would still try to re-engage that, where we can pretty much give our grant support, and regardless of how much it may be, to the departments to purchase equipment, even if it's just one piece of equipment, etc. So I'm curious to see if we can restart those particular efforts. Now, Ms. Cromwell, that's something that, I'm not certain if you're aware of that, but Mr. Allen has in-depth knowledge on that process. I'm curious to know whether or not the city has the funding or the ability to restart that, where we can get back to the fact that times have changed. Now it's time to get back and see how much funds that we can get in terms of grant incentives to give to the various fire departments, police departments, etc. That's just my final comment or thoughts on that.
Sure. As you said, this is certainly good timing with the budget. I did put in for our budget the same amount that is typically the $25,000. So I don't know how it was used in the past. I am definitely interested in anyone that wants to share information of how that was managed, and things that were purchased in the past and things like that. Definitely interested in learning more about that. But it is in the budget, and I guess we'll see if it gets approved.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully we can get that up back on the table and continue to support our organizations and agencies as we did in the past. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chair Davis. And I would second that. I would love to be able to make sure we can help out the departments as needed. So appreciate that. Commissioner Dwanchik.
I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Okay. Mr. Gilmore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No questions of the chief, but I'd like to echo the comments that Fred said or mentioned. I'd like to thank you for your leadership of the department and certainly for those volunteers that remained committed and dedicated throughout 2020, in spite of the fact that we were dealing with COVID. Always there, ready to serve. I think it's outstanding, and they certainly get the kudos of me and all of my family and neighbors, and I'm sure all the residents of the city. So again, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Chief.
All right. Thank you very much. Laurel Volunteer Rescue Squad.
Hey, my name is Marshal.
Go
I'm the chief of the Laurel Volunteer Rescue Squad. I've been a member for 38 years, and one of the chiefs probably off and on for 18 of the last 20 years. So I've been one of the chiefs for quite a while. Just repeat a lot of what Chief Tennis said. We were very challenged with COVID. We had at one time about 20 of our active members on what we call COVID leave. A lot of them were forced not to be able to volunteer because their employment said that they got COVID from their volunteer service, that they wouldn't be covered. You know, obviously that's not necessarily the case, but a lot of our people were unable to run calls as a volunteer for a number of months over this time period. Since then, we've gotten most of our people back. Luckily, we've only accounted for 1 or 2 people that got COVID from the rescue squad, but we did have a number, about 10 or 15 people that were positive at one time, and most probably attributed to their other employment. We are pretty well set for equipment. The last new ambulance came in right before COVID in March of 2020. And right now we're not planning on replacing any of our apparatus. Our engine is a couple of years old, and our squad is 9 years old, and our rescue engine, which backs up the squad in the engine, is older, but it's been rehabbed in the last couple of years. As Mr. Davis mentioned, we would like to see the grant program restarted. We did use that money towards emergency equipment that we sorely need. So we'd appreciate the city's support in looking at that, if at all possible, to be able to have that grant program restarted. We have, one of my other chiefs was very involved in that. So Christine, if you want to get any information, if you don't find it through the city, I would be happy to send you the grant information from the last number of years from what we've done. Otherwise, we are also challenged with ambulance billing, because the way ambulance calls now are dispatched is different from pre-COVID. So, you know, we've seen a drop of about 15% in our ambulance billing. So that has affected our funding sources, which, you know, we get quite a bit of money for ambulance transport. So that's been our major funding source, budget source, that we're a little concerned about because of the call volume. Otherwise, things are getting better. The county still precludes us from having general meetings and elections, live meetings. So we're still waiting for that to open back up. Although we did just have our elections 2 weeks ago, and I'm still the chief, and Chris Rule is the deputy, and Rich Takis is the assistant, which is the same as last year. And our president is Raphael Gibson, and he's been the president of our corporation for the last 2 years. So really the leadership hasn't changed over the last number of years. So that's it, unless anybody has any questions.
All right, Chief. Well, thank you very much. Again, I will tell you, like I told Chief Cotis, but the watching, being around town all the time, obviously, because I live here, seeing you and your members. In fact, I saw you, I think, most recently dealing with a gigantic water main break at Merkirk Road and 197 as I made my way to Food Lion to make one of my many shopping trips. But I really want to tell you on behalf of the commission how much we appreciate everything you and your group do, especially during COVID. I think we get we take it for granted sometimes how much how lucky we are in Laurel to have the fire department, rescue squad, police department, public works. I could go on, parks and recreation, on and on and on. Laurel, I've said this many times, Laurel is very, very different than any other place in Prince George's County, and frankly, than almost any place else. And it's because of people like you and the volunteers that we have a community like this. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Vice Chair Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I certainly can echo your comments over and over and over. I mean, it's the absolute appreciation for the various departments, the organizations, LVFD, the rescue squad, the LPD, and the Department of Public. It goes on and on. And it's at the end of the day, it's a combined effort of pretty much look out for the well-being of our lovely city of Laurel. So thank you, Mark, thank you, Jim, and hopefully
Thank you.
we can continue to support you guys in every single way, and feel free to reach out in terms of any assistance or any hurdles that you may run into, because being a volunteer myself, I love the city regardless. I love the city regardless, and it's up to us to do our best to keep things moving and protect our citizens at the end of the day. So I can pretty much go on and on. So that's about it for me. So great job, team. Let's just keep moving forward.
All right, sir. Thank you. Commissioner Dwanchik.
I just would echo the comments that Chief Gilmore made with regard to Company 10 and also to the rescue squad and the LPD, that, as a 40-year resident, I really appreciate the fact that I live in a pretty unique community, and the response time and the professionalism of all these organizations is really something that we have here that's unique, and I'm pretty sure is appreciated by those who pay attention to it.
Thank you.
Agreed. Commissioner Gilmore.
Thank you again. As everyone else is saying, I don't think we can overstate our appreciation for the services we do get from the city of Laurel. Y'all caused me to reflect how long have I been a resident. Well, I've been a resident of the Laurel area since 1978, and a resident of the city for the last 25 years. And during those 40 plus years, I've seen services no matter where I lived, and they are second to none. And I don't say this only because I've been involved in public safety all my adult life, but because it is real. I've seen many other areas of the state and in Prince George's County and even other states where I've been. Nothing compares to what we have in the city of Laurel. So once again, just thank everybody for all the services, including the volunteer services. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, Chief, and just for the record, in 1978, I was in 8th grade. So, and now for risk management. Yeah. I'm sorry?
I just want to make sure that was reflected in the minutes that you're a very, very young person.
Exactly. I was hoping it would be reflected as well. Thank you. Risk management.
Hi, good evening, Chairman Carmen and Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I was a member of the first group of the Emergency Services Commission when Marty Thumian first started, so you guys are all near and dear to my heart. I'm the city's risk management officer for the people that don't know me in audience. I've worked for the city for 20 years. I've had several different positions. I now handle the city's insurance in all forms, except for the health insurance. I manage the workers' comp claims. I sit on several boards. I sit on the Council of Governments for Chesapeake and Florida's Insurance Fund. I sit on Legit, 2 committees for them. I sit on the Risk Management Committee, and we hand out grants to local governments for training purposes. And I also sit on Legit's Law Enforcement Task Force with all the different things that are happening in the police department today. We actually bring issues to Legit, and Legit has actually changed their training grant program to be more supportive of the police departments and their training needs. Right now through COVID, I did a lot of assisting with the other departments and their needs. I came up with, help plan the cleaning schedule for the city in all departments. I had to go in and evaluate the situations in each of the different buildings and come up with the plan. And now with COVID, I'm managing all the COVID claims and assisting with the city's travel policy. So my roles changed a little bit, but as we get a little busier, things are picking up in my normal position. I'm right now in the budget process, which is a little different than the cities. I have to submit my budget numbers prior to learning what the insurance rates are going to be. So it's kind of a guessing game right now, but in April 8th, I'll attend Legit's workshop, and they'll let us know all of our numbers and where we rank and where we need to be. But we're in good shape insurance-wise. Are there any questions?
No, I would, for me, I would just ask that if there's any way that this commission can help you in your job and ultimately help the city, I would ask that you just simply let one of us know.
Sure.
Vice Chair Davis.
Mr. Chairman, I actually echo the same sentiments as well. Thank you very much, and certainly we're here. Just joining this commission several years ago. The thing that I did not want to have happen is for the issues, the discussions, and the concerns to be raised during a meeting. Now we're doing virtual. But certainly, I think, we're an open portal. If there's things that we need to look at beforehand, do the research, get answers to then have a quote unquote virtual or roundtable meeting, let's do that. So, that goes out again to all the department heads, the organization heads is, we're here. We're not just meeting once a month, so to speak, virtually regardless. Let us know, send an email. And we'll certainly get on top of it and try to get you the assistance and help that you need. So certainly we're here for you, not just a one-time discussion. So that's just something for all the department heads to keep in mind.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dwanchik.
No questions.
Commissioner Gilmore.
No questions or comments. Hi, Pat.
Hi, Mr. Gilmore, Chief.
Okay, that concludes our reports. The time is now 7:54. I have nobody that I know of for general public hearing, but at 7:54, I will open the floor for any comments from general public. Okay, hearing none, 7:55, we'll close the general public hearing. The next scheduled meeting, Chrissy, did I say June? March, April, May. What's the next meeting that I gave you?
I don't think you gave me one. I think we were going to determine it tonight.
Okay, so very good. Then I will open this to the commissioners. If you see a need for a monthly meeting, then we will schedule it for next month. Otherwise, we'll skip a month and come back in May. And I'll open that to the floor, beginning with Vice Chair Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chairman, I think at this point it's been so long since we've rebooted this effort, so to speak. So I would certainly want to see at least a continuous monthly meeting discussion, as things are still uncertain in terms of the way things are, pandemic, et cetera. So I'll certainly put my thoughts out and our recommendations to continue to move forward with at least a monthly discussion. And should things change, we can change the agenda and the dates back from there.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Dwanchik, do you have any opposition to a monthly meeting?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Gilmore?
I am retired and I have no objections to a monthly meeting.
We'll do a daily meeting if you want. That's all right. Okay. Okay, then Anna, Chrissy, we'll set the meeting for what is this? Are we at the second Wednesday already of March? Is it okay with everybody if we do the second Wednesday of April?
That's okay, yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and set it for the second Wednesday of April. All right. I think that's all that I have at this point. I will tell you that I would. This past year, clearly for all of us, has been life-changing, and we wouldn't have hoped this on anybody. But you know, out of any tragic event, we generally find some things that are come out of it very positively. For me, I think the positive things are we find that from a bureaucracy point of view, we can do things that we had been saying forever and ever that we can't do. In my full-time job, I work in a hospital, and I had always heard, well, we're working on virtual health visits where you go online and talk to a doctor. We're working on that. And I kept hearing, but we're not there yet. We're not there. There's too many issues and all. Well, the pandemic hit, and literally within 3 weeks, we were doing virtual doctor's appointments because we had to. At my place of employment, and Roy knows this better than me, we managed to have a meeting at the drop of a hat. We'll have a meeting to plan a meeting and a committee to build a committee. What we have found is we don't have to have so many meetings, and those meetings that we have are virtual. So we've really found that we're quite resilient in a lot of things. That said, I truly look forward to the day, and I think it's sooner rather than later, where I can walk into the council chambers and see all of you in person, and we sit down next to each other and have these same meetings. I think that's coming. I do, you know, this sounds strange, but, you know, knowing all of you, it's funny how you don't realize how much you miss people until you can't see them. And while Zoom is great, while WebExes are wonderful, it does not take the place of personal interaction. So, gentlemen, I truly look forward to the day where we're not zooming in, we're walking in and talking to each other and saying, how are you doing? And I think that day is coming. So those are my comments. Vice Chairman Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I can certainly repeat and echo the same sentiments that you put forth here, but it's total agreement. You know, these are unforeseen times, right? These are certainly unforeseen times, and it looks like there's probably a light at the end of tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, you know what I mean? So 12 months ago, we were in the thick of it. Now we're starting to find ways out of it. We'll pray and we'll cross our fingers and hope that we actually really get out of this crazy situation. But it's pretty much forced a lot of folks to rethink their daily activities, their daily habits, what's more so important. We've lost a lot of good individuals and a lot of close friends, on my personal side, to be honest with you. But again, we're looking forward to that. And I also look forward to the time again when we can shake hands and greet each other and congratulate each other in a physical manner, as opposed to a virtual environment. So yes, certainly. Thank you for those thoughts and comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Dwanchik.
I would just second what the chairman said. One of the interesting aspects of this whole situation has been sort of war of experts and a lot of questions about who to believe about what. But at this point, it certainly looks like as more and more people get vaccinated, that this thing is going to be licked pretty soon. And I think that everyone is at the point where they would just like to go back to something approaching normal life.
Yeah, absolutely. Commissioner Gilmore.
Yes, I agree with y'all. It's been quite a year. My family's suffered from tragic loss. I'm a family person, and I got to tell you, I've got a large family, and I've got some young grandchildren I haven't seen in a year, and all of a sudden they're growing up,
Yeah.
So there's nothing like that personal interaction, those family get-togethers that we've had to postpone, family vacations. So I'm looking forward, as all of you all, to some state of normalcy again. Although I don't think we'll return to where we were. I think it's going to be a different world. We're going to be more cautious, and I think we'll be more appreciative of what we do have, okay? And I think we can just be very thankful for what we do have. And I really look forward to working with you all in the future, and hopefully when we do get together, Fred will buy the coffee when we meet at City Hall.
At least the first cup, yes. So I would, first of all, Anna, again, Chrissy, thank you both very much. I know this is a lot of work on both of you, and I truly appreciate it. It makes everything happen. So thank you both. And with that, I will look for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
And we have a motion for adjournment. The time is 8:03 and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Be safe.
You too.